Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a great Friday, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, let's get into the news this Friday morning. I love people like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, because they make all the right people mad and make Biden mad. They make Pelosi mad, they make their leaders in their own party mad. Rhinos who continue to want to work within the establishment, wouldn't continue to fund big government, don't want to actually get to the bottom of corruption, because they're part of the corruption problem. And this is why people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Laura Barber, Andy Biggs, we can go on and on naming Matt Gaetz and Paul Gosar of all these individuals who are willing to fight against big government, and continue to reduce the size of it, and recently, a new bill was passed that help increase the Inflationary Act, help increase the reach of the IRS by over 87,000 new agents. Most of them are going to be armed so that way they can come gunpoint, and take their tax money from you. This is what the Democrat Party and Republicans establishment has envisioned for middle America, to continue to fleece you of your money, and continue to distribute to people that are unwilling to help themselves, and of course, continue to protect the uber rich. This is the party of the establishment. And Lauren Barber has issued a grave warning to new IRS agents, and it's absolutely beautiful. This is how we fight back. This is how we sit there and warn the next incoming administration, or the next not administration, the next people that are coming into Congress. This is what we're going to be doing to defund these individuals. So we have this story coming to us. It says Representative Boebert has a very dire warning for any new IRS agents. That's right. Because when we're talking about America last is exactly what we mean: politicians who are trying to make this bloated red tape government even bigger, and slower, and more commonly polluted. Instead of fixing the issues that are causing us the most problems, we should shrinking the IRS, not turn it into a new military force. But that's Joe Biden for you. He's a crooked career politician with a head full of mush. But there's some good news in all of this. Sure. IRS might go on highest hiring spree very soon. But Representative the Lower Barber has a message for the new hires. She's telling them not to get too comfy, because the new Republican Congress will not be funding Joe's IRS army. So if they were smart, they bypass the IRS job and go to work in the private sector. Good for Lauren. Here's what she said on Twitter right here, saying no, that those 87,000 new IRS agents will be defunded. If you're applying, be prepared to be laid off. You should find work in the private sector. Instead, there is no way Republicans will let the IRS abomination stand. Absolutely. We have a growing list. And if Republicans are serious again, I've talked about this numerous different times on numerous just different videos, especially over the last couple of weeks, have a list of agencies that need to be defunded and dismantled. I would love to see the IRS dismantled as well, along with the FBI, and all of these other three-letter agencies that continue to wage war against everyday Americans in this country. While real criminals continue to fleece this nation, as our corrupt politicians continues to give the green light for the pillaging of America. This is what we need. This is the type of energy we need by people that are going to the federal government and telling them, hey, it is time that we are cutting out this nonsense. We're going to defund these agencies. We're going to dismantle them. We're going to do what we need. I'm all good for shutting down the Fed to let's go all the way. Let's go all the way with this, because this is the way, my friends. And back in January of 2017, conspiracy theorist and Russia huckster Rachel Maddow, on MSNBC, had Chucky Schumer on. And he famously said this: he's taking these shots as antagonists. Antagonism's taunting to the intelligence. In a day you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. He was talking about Trump with a veiled / not so veiled threat that President Trump, because he took on the intelligence community, that they had 6 ways to Sunday of getting back at him. That is what's going on here. We've got a lot of specific news to cover. This little quote, I'll play again for you in context. And we're gonna see that President Trump was right in January 2017 on certain aspects, being proven right. CNN didn't just cancel the show Reliable Sources and can the entire staff. That's Brian Stelter's show. My voice didn't crack. And that was me doing a Mark Dice version of Brian Stelter, but he's out there and just cancel his show and move him somewhere else. They didn't fire him and keep his show. They can both of those. So just a reminder, Brian Stelter was one of those who said that the laptop was Russian information, this information in a show that he, without any sense of irony on his part, CNN called reliable sources. Okay, let's get into the latest when it comes to what's going on with the Trump FBI raid du jour. The judge has ordered and given the government 1 week to produce the FBI raid affidavit, but here's the catch. They have a week to selectively edit it, also known as a redaction. Boy, there is definitely nothing even they're not even trying to hide or have an air of non-partiality. Major media outlets are demanding the release of the probable cause affidavit behind the FBI's raid of Trump's Florida residence. Ra Reinhart's ruling. A U.S. magistrate judge Bruce Reinhart, who authored the search of the former President Donald Trump's Florida home at Mar-a-Lago, or the Department of Justice on Thursday to prepare a redacted version of their search warrant affidavit, presumably to unseal it eventually so the public can see at least part of it. Reinhart's ruling came after several media organizations, and they're gonna see that sometimes politics and other things make some interesting bedfellows. The New York Times, The Washington Post, The Wall Street Journal, CNN, along with we have the motion from Tom Fitton and the crew over Tough isn't even a lawyer I understand correctly, but we've got those folks asking over a judicial watch asking for the redaction. And they filed a motion in support of unslung the document. Now Reinhart has now agreed to unseal the affidavit, given the Justice Department 1 week until next Thursday, August 25. To propose redactions, the purpose of the affidavit was to establish probable cause for the raid at Mar-a-Lago, cause to make its content available to the public came, as many observers, including multiple members of Congress, has speculated that the raid was a product of political bias within the DOJ. That's so obvious, it doesn't almost need to be said. But still, the liars push back against it. Do you ever think we live in a time where the government and the people in the government are so evil, vile and wicked, that they don't even hide it behind closed doors, in the little crack in orgy parties, in basements and on islands of financiers, but actually lie and tell you deceitful right in front of your eyes, telling you something when you can see for yourself what it really is, and they say the opposite. We're not in a recession. What is a woman? This is a judge-sanctioned search. This is not political. And then we have Merrick Garland actually going up there and saying that we want to have a fair, we aren't fair Department of Justice. The media companies argue the affidavit's release would help the public determine if the Justice Department had legitimate reasons for this search, or if it was part of Biden's administration vendetta against Trump. And even the AP is knowing that Trump has called the release of a full unredacted version of the affidavit, citing the need for transparency, or the transparency they want him to have, but they're trying to hide and obfuscate and keep everything hidden. In the interest of transparency, Trump said in one of his posts, "I call for the immediate release of the completely unredacted affidavit pertaining to this horrible and shocking breaking." Wow. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton issued the following statement. It seems like the Biden Justice Department is telling the court what to do. Respectfully, the court should make its own independent assessment of the compelling public interest and transparency about this abusive raid. The criminal investigation of the Biden administration is covering up. Its covering up reeks of corruption, dishonesty. The U.S. Constitution, the federal law, gave unreviewable authority to President Trump to take whatever records he wishes at the end of his presidency. The Biden administration's dishonest depiction of personal records of President Trump, it illicitly seized during the raid, is classified as for the demonstration that the raid was a brazen act of raw political abuse. Okay, so we've got some inside information. It's then something we suspected and had been whispered about that were in those contents. We'll get to that in just a little bit here from Trump insiders. Even Joe Rogan, I'm not going to play the clip for you. Steven Crowder is now off of suspended from this platform. And Joe Rogan also tends to have language in his clips that make it tough for me to keep this show PG-13 rated. But podcasts are. Joe Rogan said the following. I mean, like legally, what did they find? And is he actually in trouble? Because I think the goal was to try to knock him out of the 2024 elections, right? By trying him for crimes. What did he do? Even Joe Rogan, who flip-flops back and forth, who wants to be a defender of free speech or whatever, but of course, he's got to toe the line, because, he is a public figure and his paycheck's on the line. So sometimes he's stalwart, and sometimes he backpedals like he did on all of the virus information. He was really bold having people on, and then he kind of backpedaled and what have you, whatever, I'm not gonna fault the guy. He's not really one of us. But he is absolutely right here. They're trying to knock them out of the 2024 elections, right? That's what this is all about. But it's also hiding the crimes of the deep state of the intelligence community. And that threat that came from Chucky Schumer that I played at the top of this episode is going to ring true here when we get this inside information in just a few moments. Is it really about confidence in information, and they shouldn't have had it in his home? That was so important, they couldn't just ask for it. They had to go in and get it. And we know that there was a meeting in I think March and in June, and President Trump had been cooperating with them. The whole thing was and is a political attack exercise. And it has come to bite. Trump Organization's CFO Alan Weisselberg in the Hinney. Former Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg pleaded guilty today to 15 counts of fraud and tax evasion and a plea deal requiring him to testify not against President Trump, but against the company. See, it's all political to try to keep President Trump 2024. You realize that these types of small little things, no one goes to jail for this? No one is in your they plead down little thing, it goes away, what have you, it's all buddy. But this is another way to get after Trump and make it seem like he's a criminal by going out to his organization even if they don't go after him. Events in a federal courtroom in New York played out much as anticipated. Weisselberg, the CFO, was expected and did reach a plea deal with prosecutors at a tax fraud case that did not require him to testify against the president. So this is what the CBS said was the book's deal with prosecutors calls for a sentence of 5 months in New York's Rikers Island jail, followed by 5 years probation. He must also pay $1.9 million in back taxes and fines and must appear as a witness during the company's trial to testify under oath. He has not agreed to provide any new or supplemental information about Trump or the company that bears his name, according to sources familiar with the matter, but doesn't matter. If he doesn't make any new information, they're going to make this all about Trump being a criminal for 2024. But no one's buying it. People can see what the FBI is really up to and what they've done. Just so you know why Sue Berg was accused of receiving fringe benefits such as free rent, private school tuitions and a car without reporting them to the IRS. The value of the benefits was estimated to be a total of $1.7 million over a period of 15 years. So doing the math easily. There. That's about $100,000 a year more or less in perks. The company is also accused of failing to report the benefits, though Trump himself is not implicated. Doesn't matter. The company bears his name. And that's all they need, guilty by association. Okay, folks, let's go back to what happened in 2017. Rachel Maddow had Chucky Schumer on because President Trump, when he was president-elect, on the 3rd of January 2017 tweeted out that intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking. Okay, I got to do the air quotes for you. So you can see it, how President Trump tweeted it out. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday, perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. Back in January 2017, as President-elect Donald Trump was talking about the Intelligence Committee, intelligence folks were supposed to give him a briefing, were delaying action. Maybe that because they needed to build a case? Isn't that funny what they're doing here? They said that he maybe had nuclear codes. They put fake news out in with the Washington Post and the New York Times and CNN to make it seem like President Trump had some dangerous things. But they didn't go after him until 3 days after that warrant was issued. And of course, President Trump has been cooperating with them. And he's been out of office for almost 2 years now, a year and a half plus. So is it possibly just like President Trump said in 2017, that they are just running out, not worrying at the clock, but just trying to figure out a case? Very strange indeed. So here is the 90-second or so conversation between Rachel Maddow and Chucky Schumer in early January of 2017, January 4th, I believe, or maybe it's the evening of January 3rd to T. So I was distraught right after the election, but I'm now actually invigorated by the challenge and our ability to succeed in this challenge. Let me ask you, I don't know if you have seen this. I don't want to blindside you with this is no, I don't not seeking your folks, but you guys want to check your humor. Looks like, how does anybody see these people, and not just see the vile evil wickedness that permeates from their village? From whatever you believe in, their energy, their aura, their vibrational states, their wavelengths, their spirit or lack of their darkness. And I used to wonder how these people continue winning and winning. Who votes for these people? I think we know the answer to that now, don't we? The latest statement, latest tweet, as you were just saying, the president-elect's latest, latest unsolicited pronouncement on the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. And you see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday, perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange we're laid off and he's taking these shots as antagonisms taunting to the intelligence. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA